Here's an interesting question. Jenks, do you believe in ghosts?
Yes, very much so. I absolutely believe in
Why?
ghosts.
Have you seen one?
I've had enough. Well, I told you I thought I had a ghost here in my home for a while.
Ooh,
Where,
that's a good story. That's a
yeah,
good scary story.
where I went through, as we know, like a really bad divorce. And the only reason I say that is because I had a couple of suggestions. Number one, and I'm not making this up. Number one, you need to have your house swept for listening devices. Number one, this is legal advice. And number two is, it wouldn't be an idea just to kind of clear out that place and have some sage burned. And I say that because, and I'm not like a huge paranormal person. I've done stakeouts. I've been on stories that have studied paranormal activity. One of my feature stories that I did in Austin was on the most haunted hotel in the entire state of Texas, which is a different story I have stories about. But anyway, in my own home, and this is when I first moved in, and I never figured out an answer to this, and it's since stopped, though it does happen once in a blue moon. On a regular basis, the the ceiling fan in my room would randomly start going. Randomly. It was so odd. And I'm like, it's the middle of winter. I didn't turn my ceiling fan on. And so this happened 2 or 3 straight nights. And I thought, Michael, quit being so absent-minded. And then I kind of got weirded out by it. And so on the same day, one day I had lost this pen of mine. It was actually a vape pen, whatever. And I could not find it anywhere. And I walk into my bathroom and it's sitting there. I'd lost it. And when it reappeared, something had happened to it. I was like, I don't know where this came from, but it hasn't been here for the past 3 days. I live alone and my fan's been going off. So I don't know where this came from. This is freaking me out. It's kind of rusted. This has been somewhere and it hasn't been on my bathroom shelf. I looked at this every single day. So that was kind of the back of my mind. And then I turned off my fan before I went to sleep. I looked at it. I put the remote away from anything electrical. And then I woke up in the middle of the night and the fan's whirring like full speed. And I just found this pen. I don't know. It was really, really weird. I don't know what was happening. And it finally came to an end. Once in a blue moon, it'll happen. But there was a while there it was happening every single night. So that was kind of spooky.
Well, Jenks, are you allowed to talk about the history of your place? Because when I heard you talk about,
Oh,
some things
yeah.
that had gone on at your place, like it makes more sense when I hear like these crazy
Oh,
things
yeah.
happening. Like, are you allowed to talk about it? Like
Yes.
it's very crazy.
I will say, and this was not disclosed when I purchased my home in DC because it's not legal. If you're a real estate agent, what you have to disclose is based on state law. So in DC, you don't
Right.
have to disclose what happened to a home before you sell it. However, I found out after the fact, thanks to my next door neighbors, and this is a really crazy story, but I won't go into all that. However, there was someone who hung himself in my bedroom, and
Yeah,
that
like
would have, and that,
bearing the
and
lead, Jenks.
sorry,
Like that's wild.
I've tried to forget it. And also, where this person would have been hung is in the center of the room where this ceiling fan is. So that's, considering kind of the bad juju before I got back in my place after the divorce, and also the bad juju years before with someone hanging himself. Yeah. Is it crazy to think that maybe that isn't the most spiritually healthy room in the home? No. So yeah,
But
you're
here's
right
the
about
thing,
that.
that's what I'm saying. You're bearing the lead. Like somebody killed themselves in your place. And
Yes.
also, didn't you have all these crazy stories about, you live in DC and you were thinking that there was something going on with this person maybe being like a spy of some sort, and you found like these radio frequencies. I know we're talking a lot
Yes.
about this, but I find it very interesting.
No, the funny thing is the spy, and this is Washington, D.C. I sound like the bigot. I feel like this is a conspiracy theory show.
No.
But this was told to me by our next door neighbor and the wife of the couple that used to live next to me. She was an FBI agent. So I was told this by the wife of a couple, and she worked for the FBI, and she said there was always suspicion that the woman in the home who was Russian was doing some sort of spy activity. It was her husband who killed himself. And yes, when I renovated the deck on this place, I found some audio equipment that made no sense whatsoever. It was a large receiver. Each knob on the receiver was labeled, and one said something like, North Mexico, South Mexico, what was the other? Korea and something else. I have a picture of it somewhere. And I did have an audio guy come out and look at this, and I'll never forget because I'm pretty good with technical stuff. I suck at home improvement, but pretty good with electronics and technical stuff. And an audio guy looked at this thing, and he stares at it, and he turns to me and he goes, "What the hell is this?" I go, I don't know. He goes, "This is weird. This is really weird." And I was like, "Yeah, I don't know why it's labeled. I don't know." So yeah, all of that took place, all of that years ago, before the fan in my room started going off where someone had hung himself, and he was supposedly the husband of a Russian spy, a woman who disappeared before this place was sold. She never showed up for anything. They sold the place. Boom. Never heard from again. Really odd.
That's literally the plot of like a Netflix series. And you're like, have you ever done anything when you're trick-or-treating? Like, no, I don't have any stories that compete with that, Jenks. Like, it's a plot of a movie.
Well, yeah, I guess I forgot about that. You know, you live here long enough, you don't want to have the thought before you go to bed, remember that guy was hanging in here? So that's probably why I didn't mention it off the top. But yeah, all of that really happened. Happy Halloween, everyone.